In a world full of bad news, here's something really good. Sam Stubbs from KiwiSaver Fund Manager Simplicity is doing what the government can't do, basically, and it's building houses. They've built houses at speed, on budget, under budget probably, then he rents them out to people who need them for long-term rentals. This is an investment in people in this country, and it's built using his members' KiwiSaver funds, who then get a return on their investment. How good is this? Sam, g'day, nice to see you.
G'day.
And you've taken me there to have a look at it too, and I went there yesterday to have a look.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Bloody impressive.
They're pretty cool.
Finished well, isn't it?
Yeah, they're really, and there's lots of landscaping. There's a sculpture garden in there. We've got the Matariki lights on this one too, on the pavement on the fence.
Bloody good, it's impressive.
Yeah, it's good, eh?
Are you pleased with how it came up?
Oh, super proud, eh?
So tell people how it works. So you've built them using KiwiSaver funds.
Yeah, exactly. So look, we go and we buy the land, we do the development, we build it with our own construction company, and then we rent it with our own staff and look after the tenants. And because we do all of that, because we have complete control of it, we can walk onto a bare piece of land. And in this case, what you saw was 51 houses that we built in 12 months.
51 houses in 12 months. It's incredible.
Yeah, and they're built about we're about 35% below the market price because we completely control it. You run it like a factory, right? And
so you're running your own building company now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's got well, it's building about 30 houses per staff member at the moment in terms of head office staff. We get all the subbies to come in and build it.
This is the problem though. There's too many middlemen clipping tickets. That's why New Zealand is costing so much in terms of housing, right?
Yeah. Well, everything, Duncan. I mean, I call it the phyllo pastry of fees, right? You know, everything's small scale. Everyone has to have a say, and everyone gets involved. And also, I think we do have a lot of regulation which sort of forces you to get all these pieces of paper. Some of them are very useful. Some of them,
some of them you need for health and safety reasons.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, the strength of the house and the longevity and that sort of thing. But some of them are pointless as well. I agree. Yeah. Why can't Kaingaora do what you're doing?
Well, look, I think the curse of house building in New Zealand is everyone wants to do it bespoke, right? Everyone wants their own fridge, their own sink, their own tiles, right? We don't do that. We just do the same thing again and again and again. So we only have about 7 different types of apartment. They're 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms. And if you do it again and again and again, you just get the benefits of scale, right?
But surely, the government would surely have realised this maybe decades ago, that they're building state houses so they could do this exactly the same thing as what you've done.
Yeah. And look, here's the irony, eh? Like when we had the last great state housing boom, right, back in the 40s, 50s and 60s, we're building the same houses, right? Everyone knows what a state house looks like, right?
I bought one.
Yeah, you know, single bay villa, double bay villa, and they just built 1,000. And the government gave the private industry, actually it was James Fletcher and James Hardy, they gave them a huge contract, right?
Yeah, but maybe now we don't have enough competition. Australia can do this so much better than us. I bought a house in Australia.
Oh yeah,
and it costs $500K.
Yeah,
I got 4 bedrooms, a huge big place.
Yeah, well, look, there's levels and pollen levels of craziness in this industry. For example, building materials, right? Yeah. They're so much more expensive now. Why are they so much more expensive? Because they have to get brands appraised, right? And that means that actually very, very few building materials get appraised here, which means you have to buy them from the same people.
I see this government's trying to change that.
They are bringing in. They're allowing Aussie building materials to come in. That's good, but actually, what they haven't done, this is what they really have to do, is you've got to stop making the councils liable for any building faults, because then the councils won't sign off on it, right?
Why would you? So your members put money into their KiwiSaver funds through Simplicity, and I noticed that your company's done really well, and so therefore you use those funds and you build the houses with those funds, and then you rent them to New Zealanders long term, and the savers get a return on that. Yeah,
they do. Yeah, in fact, they get a really, really solid return, and also remember it's very stable, right? Because people pay their rent, Duncan. So so when the market goes down again, the rental income keeps on coming in. And
why aren't other KiwiSaver funds? Why aren't other fund managers doing this? There's plenty of money in New Zealand. It's sitting in big piles.
110 billion now in KiwiSaver. It's a huge amount of money, eh? So why aren't they doing it? Look, I have my own theory that because we're a non-profit, we sort of have a very long-term view, so we will tend to do the hard stuff, and it's quite hard to set up your own building company and do it, right? It's not
you can do it.
Not easy. You can do it, but I think that most KiwiSaver managers, they're sitting on pretty fat fees, and life's pretty easy doing what they're doing. So getting out there and getting a construction company, buying land, leasing the buildings, that's a hard way of making money, but it's an awesome way of making money. Yeah,
but you're making a difference, and you have a legacy. You see, these fat cats that sit on these, I mean, I don't know if they're your friends or not, maybe they don't invite you to lunch anymore, but these other guys,
they don't,
do they? Well, I'll send you a food bank or something. But seriously though, this can be done, but it needs will. It needs goodwill.
Yeah, it can. And listen, all these KiwiSaver managers are really lovely people, but they're just trapped in a business model which actually is quite extreme. extractive, right? And that's the finance industry, right? It's banks as well. Because people don't understand what they're paying in fees, because they don't necessarily understand where their money's being invested, they just ignore it and
hope it's there at 65.
Ignorance is bliss when it comes to funds management and banking,
banks,
you know.
At a time where New Zealanders are really struggling, you hear that from Dave just now.
They really do.
It's a real struggle. And you've got the banks taking $10 billion of profit out of New Zealand this year.
Yeah.
And you've got the supermarkets over there giving them a better deal than we get here. The banks get a better deal there than they get here, the people here.
Yeah.
And we're getting screwed.
We are paying an awful lot to live in New Zealand, yeah. And look, I just think we just need to take back the power, mate.
How do we do that? So?
Well, just
Send
choose.
your money to simplicity for a start.
Choose. So find out where you can buy cheaper food, and I know it's really tough, but make the effort to do that. So reward those people who are actually making an effort and actually trying to actually give a decent deal to ordinary hardworking Kiwis. They're everywhere, Duncan. They're everywhere.
But I tell you what, I'm worried about tomorrow's protest because it could become a rebellion and a revolution. Because when you're paying $1,000 a week for a house, and you have to feed your kids as well, and you're on minimum wage, there's no money left. It's simple mathematics.
Yeah, no. There are people who are just royally screwed and basically don't have the choice, right? So, and it's interesting, isn't it, Duncan? If you have a little bit more money and you have choice, your life has dignity. You have dignity in life if you can choose what you do, choose what you eat, choose where you live. If you don't have that choice,
you're in jail.
You are. Yeah. It's really, really, really tough. So we have to empower systems and processes that basically allow New Zealanders to get out there and earn a decent living and actually spend that the way they want in order to have the life they want. This is how it used to be, by the way.
I remember
and it can be again.
But there was one income family too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's a really good example. My mum and dad bought their first house, right? They bought it in Auckland, and it was 2.35 times my dad's teacher's salary, right?
Yeah.
To buy a house for almost 2.5 times the salary. Now that same house is 10 times a teacher's salary, right? Now, so how can you expect people to get ahead if something as basic as housing? And housing's a real basic need.
But housing's your first and foremost. That's your foundation.
Roof over your head, mate. I mean, it's the ultimate fence at the top of the cliff for social problems, right? You've got housing security. That's why we're so passionate about it, right? Because if you have a warm, dry roof over your head, a whole lot of other things in life can go right. Without it, it's really hard to get life right, mate.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And then come the social problems as a result of that. So for me right now, to buy a house in the market, I'm looking at about 10 to 15 times my income.
It's crazy, isn't it? That is absolutely crazy. And that's not necessarily a great house. If you buy a brand new house...
It's a shitter.
Yeah, well,
sorry.
Look, we have building regulations in this country that mean you have to build a house to last 50 years. On the 51st year, it can fall down, and it was legal in year one. That's insane. That's absolutely crazy. Because we're addicted to the particular building systems we have, supplied by a few companies that make a lot of people a lot of money, but don't build high-quality homes.
Yeah, no, it's really sad, and I don't know. I don't see a change coming. I don't know. How do you change things? When the Reserve Bank's got interest rates where they are, they won't come down for a while.
I think it comes with finally admitting that we've got a problem and the fact that we're in crisis, right? But what we need is it's almost like a war mentality. It's like war against poverty, war against housing.
That's tomorrow, probably.
Well, it might be. And look, it took us 30 years to get into this housing crisis. The government stopped building houses about 30 years ago, and none of them have really wanted to build a lot. Well, they've said they've wanted to, but rising house prices was really cool when 80% of the voting population owned their house, right? House price goes up, it's 60 now, right? So I think we have to admit that this is a genuine crisis, and we're talking about the housing crisis now.
But we've done this to ourselves. You can't blame anyone else. We have our, if we had a housing symposium or a housing, hui or something like that with all the players in the room, and you don't leave the room until we come up with some solutions, could it work?
Well, it would work, I think, if the government realises that it needs to be a volume buyer, right? What we need in New Zealand is scale and productivity and everything, right? Things need to be big.
We don't have that, though. We
don't have it because we're 5 million people. We're spread very thinly. It's very, very difficult to get lots of competition in a lot of places. It is arriving, though.
But we still spend lots of money. We get nothing for it.
Well, yeah, but like in supermarkets, we've got Costco coming in, and furniture, we've got IKEA coming in. We are starting to get some low-cost providers in there. I mean, it's not all bad. And ours is an example. I mean, we're giving all our IP free. We've given it to 70 different organisations now. This is how you can build houses cheaply. We're actually helping people now set up their own businesses to build them and sell them lower cost.
So how many houses have you built all up?
Built 210 so far. We've got about another 900 in development build right now, and that's just the start. Our sort of medium-term goal is about 10,000.
Brilliant. Sam, incredible stuff. Well done.
Cheers, mate.
Appreciate your time on the program.
See you.
0800 863 293. You could throw your money into Simplicity and do a lot worse than go there. I tell you what, they are building houses for Kiwis to rent long term. I think it's incredible. Well done to them. And of course, they get a return as well. The savers get a return as well.
Duncan Garner.